Imagine you had $250 million. What would you even spend that money on? Because apparently, a New York City penthouse is to list for a record $250 million. Personally, if I had $250 million, there's no way, one, that I would live in New York City, two, that I would spend $250 million on a penthouse. Like, what? So, a Midtown Manhattan Central Park Towers set a record for the world's tallest residential condo building, reaching 1550 feet high, following its completion earlier this year. But now, the Billionaire's Row skyscraper could land another one. The triplex penthouse unit at 217 W 57th Street is set to hit the market on Monday for an aptly sky high $250 million. Building reps told the Post, and if purchased at that price, at the asking price, it would mark the country's priciest home ever sold, according to the Wall Street Journal, which was first to report the listing. Specifically, such a high figure purchase would crush the record currently held by billionaire hedge fund Ken Griffin, who spent roughly $238 million for 4 floors across the street at the Robert A.M. Stern Design 220 Central Park South. So far this year, the Amman, New York at 735th Avenue has the highest priced condo closings. Those prices span 53.38 million for a 4 bedroom spread to 75.89 million for another 4 bedroom home, according to data from Market Proof. Like, can you imagine spending that kind of money on a penthouse, on a condo? Like, again, I obviously do not have that type of money, right? But if I were to ever get to the position in life where I had so much excess cash that I could spend money like this, I still wouldn't do it. Because, one, why would you spend so much money where you are forced to live in a box next to other people's boxes? You know? It's like, it really doesn't make sense to me personally. But look, some people might love a penthouse. Some people might love condo living, right? But the main thing is, like, this is such a huge number to even try to comprehend spending this type of money, right? Because you got to keep in mind, this type of money put into like the S&P 500, right, would literally pay you a lot of freaking money that you would pretty much have no way to spend the income just from the dividends that is produced from holding the S&P 500. Like, that's how crazy this is. Like, you could potentially be making millions of dollars just holding the S&P 500, right? Not to mention that if you left the majority of the money within the account, which you probably would, right? It'd pretty much double every 7 to 10 years, right? So the 250 would be 500 would be then a billion, right? It's just so crazy. Like, and here's the thing, right? The person that could spend $250 million can spend that money, like financially speaking, they could spend that money because someone who's going to drop $250 million is a billionaire. Like, they are a billionaire. You're not going to be a nine figure person buying a $250 million place, right? No, you're going to be a billionaire buying this place. And by the way, it's probably not even going to be your main residence. You're going to have more places than just this one. And even crazier, you may not even step foot in this place the whole time that you own it. Because these high ballers, right, these high rollers that spend this type of money on this type of real estate typically never even go in there, right? It's like the same thing with the California super pricey mega mansions, right? I'm talking like the 40, 50, 60 million dollar price points for over there. A lot of the people who buy those properties quite literally never even step foot in it. Like it's just so crazy. So the Central Park Tower penthouse comprises three levels from the 129th through the 131st floors, with interior space that spans some 17,500 square feet. So basically, it's actually like a mansion. Additionally, there is a 1,433 square foot outdoor terrace looking out to sprawling views of the city and far beyond. Pegged as a mansion in the sky, this home has also been marked as having the highest private terrace in the world, as well as the highest private ballroom on Earth. It's so high, you are above noise. Sirhan told the Post of the offering. When you are on the terrace, you hear nothing. Maybe an airplane, but that's it. You are above sound. It's so serene. It is magical. You are 1,400 feet in the air, stepping out on your own terrace, surrounded by a huge glass wall. There has never been anything like it. And here's the thing, right? It would actually probably be pretty cool to spend a few nights in this place, right? But this is just so much money. So, with such space inside and out, there's also room for a pool or two. It's fully furnished and built. It's not a raw box that you have to customize. It's an amazing space, added Sirhan. But if you want to build an indoor and outdoor pool, you can do it if you get approvals, and then you can invite Michael Phelps over for a party, he quipped. The developer, ex-Dow honcho Gary Barnett, also told the Journal that although sales of the 179 units launched in 2018, he wanted the full completion of the building before marketing the penthouse. In a separate statement, Barnett added, "We have experienced significant sales activity this past year, further supporting our belief that buyers needed to see the completed building firsthand." By the way, I don't know if they're actually going to get this number, but what's funny, if they were to have listed this property, like if it was done and was listed during the time at basically Bitcoin's peak, they probably could have easily gotten this price point because there were so many people in the crypto space that made such disgusting money by accident that there probably was someone that accidentally made a few $100 million that would have bought up this property. So the nine-figure club is a special club. And that club is also now looking to own nine-figure real estate, Sirhan told the Journal. It's a new paradigm now. The uber wealthy are looking for places to diversify assets, and real estate has become one of the most popular and sought after mega assets. The levels have exploded. Made up of 7 bedrooms and 11 bathrooms, other features include walls of glass, soaring 27-foot high ceilings, 2 kitchens, and several living and entertainment spaces. What's more, there's not just one ballroom, but 2, and other details for now are unavailable. No one has seen the interiors yet at this restaurant. It's 7 bedrooms over 3 levels with 2 ballrooms. It's really nuts. I walked in and I just said, "What?" To do what Estelle and Gary Barnett did really takes courage. You step out onto the 130th floor and you are in your own private ballroom hovering over Central Park. We are still about a month away from revealing the interiors. For now, no one can see. We are keeping it under wraps, Sirhan said. And here's the thing, the reality is that this is probably going to be one of the most beautiful penthouses ever existed, right? That's probably going to be the case. But again, if you were in the position where you could spend $250 million, would you spend it on a penthouse? Let's see some of the comments. Yeah, but have you considered the cost to clean those windows? Oh, it'd probably be so expensive. I have no desire to live that high up. Ken Griffin had the right idea with his purchase. You can't beat Zeckendorf quality in the CPS location. The monthly HOA is probably more than many or most make in a year. Even if I had that kind of money, I wouldn't go for it. Looks like an aquarium. Interesting point. I can't stand a dirty window. There's no way they keep those windows shiny and clean on the outside all the time. A dirty window makes the home room look dirty, so I couldn't live there. If someone can spend that sick amount of money, they can certainly afford a cleaning staff. I agree. Well, at one point or another, you'd still need to go out, and then the noise, dirt, drugs, and homelessness will still be there. But here's the interesting thing, too, right? If you're that rich, you could very easily be an individual that technically could survive in that penthouse without ever taking a foot outside that penthouse. Because you could get everything delivered now, right? You could get your toilet paper delivered. You could get your medicine delivered. You could get your food delivered, right? You could get quite literally anything delivered probably in New York City. Like, it's crazy. So you could, technically speaking, survive without ever leaving your penthouse. Before you even plunk down a nickel in this apartment, I suggest you go and Google and type problems at Central Park Tower. Just do it, which is interesting. And I think my phone just responded to that. Took your advice. According to the board, shoddy workmanship and poor planning has led to flooding, stuck elevators, electrical explosions, and horrible and obtrusive noise and vibration caused by building sway. Even throwing a garbage down the trash chute sounds like a bomb. Far from the ultra luxury spaces that they were promised, unit owners were sold a building plagued by breakdowns and failures that have endangered and inconvenienced residents, guests, and workers, and repeatedly been the subject of highly critical accounts in the press and social media, according to the lawsuit. So imagine, right? Imagine spending $250 million and you hating living there because there's so many issues with the place. There's just no need for that much opulence, somewhat gluttonous, just an opinion. And after a few years, it would just be another space to the occupants. And here's the thing, right? My point of view on real estate is that What box do you want to live in, right? And what I mean by that, guess what? Say you spend like $200,000 on a pretty nice box, depending on where you are in the world, right? Okay, you live there, you like it, you enjoy it, keeps you safe, warm, comfortable, whatever, right? Okay, but then you go buy a $600,000 box. Maybe a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit more space. Still doesn't really change anything. $1 million box. Still doesn't really change anything. It's still a box, right? And this is the same thing with the car. And I like cars, right? But guess what? You're still stuck in the car driving by other cars, right? So you're basically within a box. And so you're going to spend more money to get another box that you have to be stuck inside, right? Like it's just a weird thing that us humans spend so much money to try to improve their boxes. For 250 million, I don't expect to have to walk up a staircase. Good point. I mean, to be frank, for 250 million, I would expect to have like servants lifting me up everywhere I go as if I'm flying. Right? Like this is like a crazy amount of money. I've got a better view at my back door for way less. More proof that America needs a wealth tax to keep our country from becoming an aristocracy where rich people are above the law, otherwise, we will have another revolution. The thing is that like a wealth tax doesn't really ever work. I won't pay a penny more than 240 mil. Buyer beware, low bidder built the building. That's all I've got to say. Only two ballrooms? Pass. Just think of that view of Central Park. You can watch all the crime from your very own luxury mansion. Just the view I've always dreamed of. I'm thinking about it. Maybe my next paycheck, I'll buy it. That's hilarious. Let's see. How much down? That'd be interesting. What happens when the elevator goes out? That is one long climb into the heavens. Is it above the smell? Interesting. I mean, feel free to give your thoughts. Like, if you do end up stumbling upon this, seriously, if you had $250 million that you could literally spend it on anything in the world, would you spend it on a penthouse? Personally, to me, I wouldn't. If you want to learn how to get out of debt and grow your net worth, and you want to see how I did it, go down below and learn how to get out of debt.